This week we are in Parshat Mishpatim. It's the middle portion of the book of Exodus. Last week we were at Sinai. We received the Ten Commandments. This week is a listing of many rules, Mishpatim, regarding treatment of slaves, certain holidays, and an affirmation of the covenant. As we read through this week's portion, our thoughts turn to a specific verse that has troubled Jews for centuries. From Exodus 21, we encounter a text about retribution for damages that have occurred. Ayin tachat ayin, shen tachat shen. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Yad tachat yad, regel tachat ragel. Hand for hand, foot for foot. One response that I like to share whenever I have conversations about this text comes from a sermon by Rabbi Norman Cohen. He taught that if we think about ancient societies, they were governed by vengeance, and their version of justice was an act of equal retribution. If someone knocked your eye out, you knocked out their eye, and so on. But our tradition struggled with this simplistic law of direct retribution, and instead placed a limit on what was fair and permissible. In other words, our sages were more interested in what was the spirit behind the law, which is how to achieve justice, rather than accepting the letter of the law. In the Talmud, the rabbis advise us instead to consider the value of an eye for an eye and the value of a tooth for a tooth. So the loss of a person's sight or limb could result in disastrous financial consequences for that individual, so the one who caused the damage is made responsible for compensating the injured person monetarily. Rabbi Cohen taught that physical attributes such as eyes and limbs are God's gifts, and if we are to be worthy of remaining in a covenantal relationship with God, then we must accept the responsibility for our relationship with others. Great. So we moved away from the unhelpful literal understanding of the eye for an eye toward a useful system of administering justice. But what about our attitude toward our enemy, the person who wronged us? Here the Torah commands a beautiful response in this week's portion. It says, when you encounter your enemy's ox or donkey wandering, you must take it back to him. When you see the donkey of your enemy lying under its burden, you must help raise it with him. Meaning, you must help your enemy get his donkey back upright since it had fallen. This is your enemy we are talking about. The Torah tells us to be fair, just, and giving, even to our enemy. It does not tell us to love our enemy, nor does it tell us to hate our enemy. The Torah recognizes reality. Loving our friend and neighbor, that's easy. Loving our enemy is probably impossible. And that is why our Torah does not command such a thing. But our tradition emphasizes our ability to do battle with our evil inclinations. And with love, we will prevail. Yes, you may hate your enemy, but we must not allow that hatred to consume us, to destroy us, or to lead us to forfeit our opportunity to remain in a covenant with God. Rabbi Cohen finishes his lesson by saying that doing the right thing, despite how you feel, is one of the ways we can emerge victorious over our evil urges. To paraphrase the Mishnah, in a place where there are no mensches, you be the mensch. Help your enemy in spite of the fact that you may not want to. This is not about loving your enemy. It's about loving God. In the midst of a portion about laws and retribution and justice, we acknowledge that God cares for all of God's creation. So should we. Now go out and be Torah.